once again to catch up with our guy Mike Gittens on the road. He makes time for us, and we are so appreciative of that. Mike, how you doing, my friend?
Doing good, Rex. Thanks for having me. As always, Media Days is upon us. Can't wait to be in Atlanta hearing from Coach Hugh Freeze as well as others.
A lot of questions to be answered. But before we get to what's going to happen in Atlanta, kind of big news for all of Auburn sports, going from the Under Armour area to the Nike area. We've seen a lot of the athletes, a lot of social media stuff about how excited a lot of the athletes are. Been seeing a lot of chatter online as well. Wanted to get your thoughts on Auburn switching logos from Under Armour to Nike, and what else have you heard online as well?
Look, I'm happy for the athletes first and foremost, Rex. Now that it's over, I can be a little bit more blunt. As far as the athletes, the performance gear, Under Armour was terrible. They athletes complained all the time about not being able to walk in the cleats and things were falling apart. I mean, this change was long overdue. Under Armour was a bad deal that they got into the in the early 2000s. Happy to see Auburn out of it. And look, whether people realize it or not, there's a big recruiting element to being a Nike school. And having those Nike jerseys, look, Under Armour does a lot of things great, but they've got a long way to go. Nike is the right choice for Auburn. So most of all, I'm just happy for the athletes. I think they benefit the most from this switch, being able to wear gear that helps them excel their athletic talents.
Look, Dion said it best, right? Look good, play good. And if your stuff is falling apart, I really can't fault you if things, fall apart at the last second. But this is why we love having Mike on Rapport Wednesdays. He's just full honest right there. It was an awful deal. We've moved on to a new era, but there were some good memories in the Under Armour era. Do you have a specific memory that from that Under Armour era that you always carry with you, Mike?
Yeah, it's got to be Cam Newton giving us the Superman, right? Like that whole 2010 season with the Under Armour jerseys on. Look, at the end of the day, Auburn had some good years Under Armour. 2004, obviously, they went undefeated. 2010, undefeated national championship. Heisman 2013, they were just a few seconds away from another national title. 2017, they beat Georgia and Alabama right back to back in SEC play while both teams were ranked number one. That's a great moment there. You've got the 2019 Iron Bowl, the last time that Auburn actually beat Alabama with Bo Nix as quarterback. So there were some good moments over the years. There hasn't been a lot recently with four straight losing seasons, but hopefully with the switch to Nike, we'll see a switch in that trend as well.
All right. Well, look, I'm a big fan of Nike. Just full honest with all of y'all. My Air Force Ones and my Jordans. But okay. Random question. I'm sure I already know the answer, but we've seen a campaign online. Will we ever see in our lifetime an orange Auburn football jersey?
I think that they're going to continue to push for it. At the end of the day, it's about recruiting. I'm telling you, the jersey switch is about recruiting and being able to show off the new gear. And whether when athletes come to campus on those recruiting visits, look at the videos we see. It's all of them dressed up in the gear of the school doing these like glamour shot videos, trying to envision themselves on Saturdays making plays in front of tens of thousands of fans in that gear. And so, yes, I think we'll see some creative concepts come out for some orange jerseys. Winning makes all this happen. I think the old heads, the traditional old heads, don't want to talk about new jerseys while Auburn's losing football games. But you start winning, I think you see a lot of those doors start opening, Rex.
Look, and we're not advocating for us to be Oregon right here with a different helmet and a different shirt. But to speak to Mike's point, that is the power of recruiting. Oregon, the Nike headquarters is in Eugene. I mean, like it's one of those things where it's like this is a thing that they tout, and I think you bring up an excellent point. You got to talk to the players, and if part of it is the gear, and a lot of them wear Nike, then you got to speak to it, right? And,
Absolutely.
so moving on, though, it is like we said, SEC Media Days coming up. We've talked a lot about what Auburn needs, what we need to hear from Auburn, the things that Hugh Freeze needs to address. But of course, every SEC team is talking. Mike, is there a team you're looking forward to hearing from? And are there any questions for the other SEC members that you think, all right, I'm really interested to see what this coach and these players have to say here?
I'm really interested to hear from Florida's Billy Napier after a season where a lot of people thought he was going to be fired. They had the toughest schedule we've ever seen in college football history, 11 Power Five teams on their schedule. He somehow survived that with a winning record, and their AD came out and gave a vote of confidence, Rex, for them. So for him, it helped their recruiting. So I'm looking forward to hearing from him. I'm also looking forward to hearing from Alabama's Kalen DeBoer in year two. They missed the playoffs in year one. He inherited by composite star the most talented team any coach has ever inherited, and they missed the playoffs. So a lot of questions, tough questions, will be asked of him. They're doing well in recruiting right now, but certainly they're going to have to continue to find ways to win football games as he attempts to live in the shadow of Nick Saban.
which is a shadow none of us wanted. So good luck, kid.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you talk about recruiting, big recruiting win for Auburn. Not a lot of them coming so far, but Kentrell White, a guy who was committed to Auburn and made it clear that he wants to play for Hugh Freeze. Does it's a minor, it's not the biggest win in the world because it's not like a top 10 player in the nation, but still a very good player. Is there a lot to be happy about with this guy committing to Auburn?
Yeah, there is, but I think overall the message around recruiting. I talked to John Cohen, Auburn's athletic director, for an hour yesterday about the state of recruiting and what's happening in terms and how it's being affected negatively by what's happening with NIL right now. There's some things I can't share just yet out of respect for John, just kind of being open with me. But I will tell you that come August 1st, when a lot of other rules start to kick in, you may see Auburn's recruiting class jump and other people's recruiting classes fall based on how they're handling deals with kids right now. If you don't know, for our listeners, the new NIL clearinghouse, NIL Go, every deal over $600 has to be put through that. And what they're doing is that they're putting additional scrutiny on whether those deals are being driven by the university or agents of the university, Rex, which means that it counts towards your $20.5 million cap. And look, I think there's going to be a lot of surprise for some schools come August 1st when they find out deals that they thought were not going to count to their cap, but were done through their collectives. NIL Go says this counts towards your cap. And now you're $5 million over your cap. So you can get hit with penalties. It's the athlete's responsibility, first and foremost, to make sure that their deals are cleared through NIL Go. It is the university and the conference's responsibility to help audit those deals. And NIL Go is going to come in and they're going to look at everything. A big proponent of this that I think it's important for everybody to understand is they have real legal teeth. This was formed out of the House settlement, and they have the power to suspend, to fine, to sanction, to do whatever they need to do to make sure that people are following the rules. This is not a toothless punishment type organization like the NCAA has been for the last few decades. They can dole out real punishment, and that punishment can cripple your program.
I want to kind of spend a little more time on this. NIL Go, again, a lot of people have complained about this NIL world, and you know this better than most because you cover it. It is the Wild West. This guy could get $10 million here, $5 million there. But now this cap, as you mentioned, so this is a real, as you mentioned, legal teeth and has real power to punish universities that go outside the lines when it comes to NIL. And that's going to cause recruiting classes to maybe fall and expose some skeletons in the closet.
Yeah.
Is this the answer, or is it at least the right direction do you think college football and college sports needs to go?
This NIL Go process was created by Deloitte. They're the ones driving it. So if I were trusting anybody with auditing a bunch of millions of dollars, it's going to be Deloitte. But they put real thought behind this. And yes, I do think that there are some people sitting on deals right now that are counting towards a cap and they don't realize it. Because once it clears through them and they take a look at it, it's going to change what we thought about collectives just 3 months ago. If your collective is not truly operating autonomously apart from the university, every deal they sign counts towards your cap, period. And that's going to mess some people up. The idea behind this, what makes this effective is without the enforcement arm, they're another useless organization. You have to be able to regulate and audit properly and punish rule breakers. That's it. So they're trying to create an even playing field as universities start to pay athletes directly. And then the rest of it is just a free market, Rex. It's athletes being able to go out and sign deals with brands that have real market purpose. And that's another thing that they're focusing on. These can't be shell deals where some booster owns a business and is trying to pay an athlete for going to his school. No, they're saying look, these deals need to hold real market value and purpose. And if they don't, we determine that they don't, they have the power to nullify the deal. You have the power to appeal revise or rescind the deal, and then they have the option to go to binding arbitration if they cannot come to an agreement about whether the deal is in compliance or not. So there is a whole legal process in place for schools to follow. I'm telling you right now, there are teams right now in the SEC doing this wrong. Auburn has taken a more careful stance to this. I think it's had a negative effect on their recruiting so far, but they don't think that it's going to last, and neither do I.
And my thing with that is that now that we have a legal process that can actually enforce, or at least on paper have the ability to enforce, is there a cautious optimism with what this can do for NIL and the modern world of college sports, Mike?
Yeah, I think that the purpose of this has always been about the athlete, allowing the athlete to profit on their name, the same way schools have been taking advantage of profiting on their name for decades. College football has turned into a billion-dollar business, Rex, and the athletes have not gotten their share. The settlement pays athletes retroactively going back to 2016. You know, there are guys like Mackenzie Milton, who is a quarterbacks coach at UCF right now, and he's in line for a check because he was playing in 2016. So you got guys as young as Mackenzie Milton who are now on the coaching who will be getting checks, but it's always been about the athletes, and the focus has to be on allowing athletes to explore and profit from their free market value without universities taking advantage of the process to boost their rosters and really put kids at a disadvantage. You know, I mean, stacking rosters to keep kids. I'll pay, you know, you'd be surprised out here in the SEC where it is the Wild Wild West. They'll pay a guy that they have no intention of playing to sit on their bench so you can't have them. These enforcement rules and this cap prevents that from happening. And quite honestly, if you go back to the days of Bear Bryant, he was notorious for hoarding players and locking them in to deals that they couldn't get out of, just so Auburn couldn't have them. They're wanting to put a stop to all this foolishness. I love it. I think that get ahead of it now. They were decades behind making this happen. And so you got to move quickly and making sure that we get a rein in on NIL.
At this point, also, at one point you mentioned, it is on the athlete to make sure the deal that you are signing is above board. So in a fantasy world, in an alternate dimension, Rex Castillo is a 5-star athlete that wants to sign to 10 different schools who are all offering him X amount of dollars. It's on me to figure out if this school and this school and this school are all paying me the right way, because now the athlete, I could be basically thrown to the wolves or just left out in the dark, right? If I don't.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I mean, that this is a very interesting thing. And I think, again, having actual guardrails, because we all roll our eyes when we see NCAA enforces something. Yeah, because you were 12 years late to the party. That's another whole podcast for another time. Moving on, though, again, we briefly saw like Janai Broom going in the second round, and his debut almost puts up a double-double, puts up some good numbers. Again, it is summer league, and I know we have so much going on, but could we see Janai be a guy continue to evolve in the pace of this game? Because while he may not be the guy who jumps like Vince Carter or, you know, has a three-point shot like Steph Curry, you keep mentioning he is such a hard worker. He's going to make a difference somewhere, right?
Janai Broom is just such a skilled athlete, and where his game lacks, he'll put in the work to improve. The process is ongoing. He's nowhere near finished product, nor is any rookie going into the NBA. So we saw him go a little later in the draft than a lot of people anticipated. A lot of people felt like he didn't have a really good NBA combine, but you know, somebody got an excellent player, right? In Philadelphia got an excellent player, and I can't wait to see him play at the next level. He'll work his way into a starting lineup. He'll be a key contributor, and he will continue Auburn's legacy right now, putting productive pro players into the NBA under Bruce Pearl. So he was the National Player of the Year runner-up. You don't get there because you don't know how to play basketball, Rex. And talent evaluation is subjective. So what one team sees, another doesn't. I think the Sixers got a steal getting him in the second round.
That was the word I used to describe Janai as well, as an absolute steal. Because if you let this guy keep going, he's gonna be one of those hidden gems that are coming out of the draft. Look, bro, maybe we were a little biased because we watched you play throughout the season, but good luck to you. I wanted to kind of end it on this. A lot of stuff, obviously, a lot of people are looking for reasons why recruiting is going one way or the other. One of the most outlandish ones I've seen is that Hugh Freeze is golfing too much.
Yeah.
Any response to I guess the recruiting woes or wherever these blame games are going at this point?
Hugh Freeze was golfing a lot last year. He's golfed a lot since he's been on the plains, and they still brought in top 10 classes Look, golfing has nothing to do with it. As I mentioned, there are some things happening with NIL right now, and that is the primary reason for why Auburn is at where they're at this particular juncture. Had a discussion with John Cohen at length about this. People forget how much of Auburn's class last year flipped in season. So come August 1st, I think you're going to see a lot of these classes come back to the field as guys decommit and go back to Auburn and say, hey, that offer you had on the table, I want it. So I believe in my heart that's what's going to happen after talking to the players involved. And, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. But there's a lot of rule changes happening right now. Some schools are trying to take advantage of those rule changes while Auburn is taking a more careful approach, not wanting deals to be undone. And I think that that is the right approach right now. This recruiting class has absolutely nothing to do with what Auburn's going to do on the field come August 29th versus Baylor. So, he's got to go out and win football games, or we're not going to be talking about any future recruiting classes at all here. And I think that's their more immediate concern. They feel like they have a really good football team this year, Rex, and their focus is on winning, and winning will help take care of a lot of what we're talking about. So guys see that in conjunction with what I talked about with NIL kind of taking form, and you'll see Auburn, I think, finish with a solid class. I'll end with this saying the cycle of recruiting, I think, due to NIL is going to be a little different. The days of schools consistently landing top 5 classes are going to be over and gone with as we enter the era of having to adhere to cap space. It's going to spread the talent out a little bit more. It's going to leave it to the free market to decide, because even if you're a booster in a community and you donate money to the university and you sign an athlete to a local sponsorship deal, NIL Go could say that counts towards your cap. That person is a lifetime in excess of 50K a year, and you don't get to secretly do deals from the community on the side and not count towards your cap. The cap is what reins this in, and I think that you'll see some years where you have a lot of attrition and a lot of open cap space with guys leaving. You'll see those schools jump up into the top 7 in recruiting, and then in other years where you're not having a lot of attrition, like Auburn is, haven't had a lot of attrition from these last 2 classes. You'll see that following recruiting class is not going to be a top 6 or 7 class. They may be in top 20, but that's still going to be a solid class that addresses their needs, and hopefully they go to the portal for the rest.
Look, if you understand salary cap, at least from a distance, I think that's an excellent point, Mike. Salary cap leagues have a tendency to spread some stuff around. I mean, you look at the NBA, everyone's trying to get away from that whole second apron rule. It's going to be a new world. I think that's an excellent point. It's going to be very interesting to see how it all unfolds. Mike, as always, man, thanks for dropping the knowledge. Where can people find all your great stuff that you're doing at the War Report? And again, this isn't the only school you cover. You're a busy, busy man, my guy.
Locked on UCF as well. Follow us at the War Report, every social media platform. At Mike Gittens on Twitter, at Mike Gittens _ on Instagram, TW Report on TikTok.
My guy, Mike, thank you so much for always dropping some knowledge and opening up our eyes, because again, it's going to be a brand new world out here, especially with NIL Go and everything else going on there. Thank you for keeping us updated, Mike. We'll see you next week.